He didn't grow up wanting attention. He grew up wanting quiet. The kind of quiet where nothing explodes, nobody yells, and the night doesn't feel like it's watching you back. That's why the mini bike mattered. It wasn't fast. It wasn't impressive. It didn't turn heads the way big bikes did. But when he sat on it, the world finally shut up. The engine had a rough sound, like it was clearing its throat before speaking. Every time it started, it felt like permission. Permission to leave the block. Permission to think. Permission to breathe. Most kids his age were learning how to fit in. He was learning how to disappear. He learned early that staying still made you a target. Standing on corners too long got you noticed. Being noticed meant questions. Questions meant pressure. Pressure meant mistakes. So he rode. Down streets that smelled like hot asphalt and old food, past liquor stores with bars on the windows, past people who had stopped dreaming so long ago they didn't even remember what it felt like. The mini bike didn't judge. It didn't ask where he was going. It only asked if he was ready to move. Some nights he rode with no destination, just circles, left turns, right turns, the same roads over and over until the fear inside him softened into something quieter. The wind hitting his chest felt like honesty. No pretending, no explaining, just motion. At home, everything felt heavy. Words sat in the air too long, silence meant tension, noise meant problems, the walls remembered everything. Outside, on that bike, none of that mattered. He learned the streets the way other kids learned video games. Every crack, every shortcut, every place where you had to slow down or you'd eat concrete. He fell more times than he could count. Once, he skidded on loose gravel and slammed hard enough to knock the breath out of him. He lay there staring at the sky, chest burning, wondering if this was how it ended. Then he stood up, because nobody was coming to help, and he already understood that. Another time, the chain snapped mid-ride. He almost flew forward. Instead, he coasted to a stop, hands shaking, heart racing. That night, he fixed it himself. Not because he knew how, but because quitting felt worse. People talked. They always do. They said he was wasting time, that he looked stupid riding something some small, that he should be doing what everyone else was doing. He listened. Then he rode anyway. Because every lap around the neighborhood taught him something school never did. How to read situations, how to stay alert, how to...
He woke up. The kind of morning where the city feels unfinished, like it hasn't decided who it's going to be yet. I pressed the power button. No drama, no sound that made people turn their heads, just a soft hum. That was the first warning sign. Quiet things sneak past defenses. I took the first ride myself. Not because I needed to, because I didn't trust it yet. I expected it to feel weak. It didn't. The torque came instantly, not aggressive, not jerky, confident, like it knew exactly what it was built for. I rode around the block once. Then again, every time I stopped, people stared a little longer. Not impressed. Curious. That's a dangerous emotion. Curiosity grows. We decided on the rules right there. No stunts, no racing, no tricks. This wasn't about showing what the bike could do. It was about seeing what people would do with it. So we parked near a bus stop. Rush hour started creeping in, people checking phones, shifting weight from foot to foot. I asked the first person in line if they wanted to try it. They looked at me like I was joking. Then they looked at the bike, then back at me. Is it electric? I nodded. Does it go far? I told the truth. Far enough to matter. They hesitated, then stepped forward. The moment they twisted the throttle, their face changed. Not excitement, relief. That reaction came back again and again. People weren't thrilled, they were unburdened. That's when I realized this wasn't a toy. Toys create joy. This created space. We let people ride to wherever they were already going. No fixed distance, no return point. We followed, sometimes on foot, sometimes by car, watching. One rider took it to work, locked it up, went inside. No ceremony. Another rode it to pick up groceries. Strapped bags onto the back like they'd done it 100 times. The bike didn't demand new behavior, it fit into old habits. That's rare. By midday, the battery was already lower than expected. Not because the bike was inefficient, because real life is heavier than test data. People carry backpacks, stress, fatigue. Numbers don't account for that. At one point, the bike slowed down on a hill. A rider stepped off and pushed without being asked. That moment stuck with me. They didn't complain. They adapted. Because effort feels different when the alternative is worse. We charged it at a cafe. The owner let us plug in without asking questions. While we waited, people talked about gas prices, about time, about being tired of being tired. Nobody talked about speed. Nobody asked how fast it could go. They asked how long it could last. That says everything. After charging, we handed it to someone else. Then someone else. The bike started showing wear, scratches, scuffs, proof of use, proof of trust. At one point, a guy in his 30s rode it for almost an hour. When he came back, he didn't say thank you. He said, "I forgot what it feels like to not think about the ride." That line followed me the rest of the day, because most people don't think about transportation until it becomes a problem. This bike made it invisible again. Later that afternoon, it rained. Hard. We almost stopped. Then a woman asked if she could still use it. We warned her. She nodded. She rode slowly, carefully. When she came back, soaked, she laughed. Not because it was fun, because she still made it. That mattered. As the day went on, the bike started attracting attention from people who weren't curious. Skeptical looks, folded arms. Someone said it was unsafe. Someone said it was impractical. Someone said it wouldn't scale. They weren't wrong, but they weren't watching the right thing. They were evaluating the bike, not the effect. By evening, the battery was nearly empty. We debated ending it. Then someone asked if they could ride it home for the night. We hesitated, then said yes. That night, I didn't sleep well. Not because I was worried about the bike, because I kept thinking about what happens when people rely on something you didn't plan to become essential. The bike came back the next morning, charged, cleaned, with a note taped to the seat. "Thank you for trusting me with this." That flipped something in my head. Trust wasn't supposed to go that direction, but it did. So we changed the experiment. We stopped managing it. We left bikes in places, libraries, community centers, apartment lobbies. No instructions beyond basics. People figured it out. They always do. Some bikes disappeared. Some came back broken. Some came back improved. Someone added a basket. Someone reinforced a stand. Someone taped a charger under the seat. Ownership doesn't need permission. It needs access. Weeks passed. We checked in quietly. Usage stayed consistent, not viral, not explosive, reliable. That's when the pressure started from the outside. Questions about liability, insurance, rules. We answered what we could, ignored what didn't matter. Because rules usually arrive after behavior changes, not before. Then came the story that hit hardest. A man used the bike to get to a job interview. He told us later. Said he'd almost skipped it because the walk was too long and the bus too unreliable. He got the job, not because of the bike, but the bike removed the excuse. That's uncomfortable to admit, because it means how many opportunities die quietly every day because of logistics. No villain, just friction. As more stories came in, something shifted in me. I stopped thinking about the bike as an object. It was a lever, a small one, but placed correctly. And levers don't look impressive, they just move things. We started hearing from other cities, people trying similar ideas, not copying designs, copying intent. That's when I knew this was bigger than us, and scarier. Because once an idea spreads, you can't control how it's used. Some versions were bad, cheap, unsafe. We didn't distance ourselves, we engaged, shared lessons, mistakes, failures, because pretending perfection kills progress. The bike wasn't the solution. It was a question. What happens if movement becomes easier? The answer wasn't simple. Some people moved more, some worked longer, some rested for the first time. Freedom exposes choices. Not everyone uses it the same way. Months later, I rode one again. Same hum, same feel. But now the city felt different, like it had options, and options change behavior more than motivation ever will. I parked the bike and walked away. Didn't look back. Because the goal was never to be seen with it. The goal was for it to disappear into daily life. And when something disappears like that, it usually means it worked. When you say next script, I'll deliver another completely different